Welcome
to Sleep Drunk.
to Sleep Drunk, where I'm about to go fucking sicko mode. So Alex, how you been?
I've been pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. So
That's great. Now back to Kim.
I've been sexually assaulted in the workplace.
This isn't okay.
Okay, so on today's episode, we're going to be doing a few things. I'm going to talk about a little fiasco I went through as part of the college exam season. After that, we're going to take a stroll down Discussion Avenue and end with some of our favorite classes from the semester. So without further ado, Alex.
Ending the podcast episode like we're ending the year. Crazy.
Yes, we are. So are you ready to hear my story?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I've made sure to do some stretching. It's all lubed up.
All lubed up, ready to go?
Yes.
All right, good. I have eye protection on, so you don't have to worry about any STDs. So
no
you'll be fine.
STDs.
Yep.
Fantastic.
All right. For those of you who are wondering, I'm back in the same room because Alex's mic is back home.
Yeah, I already like moved out.
Yeah.
I kind of moved out mentally too. It's really hard for me to study, and I'm just here. Like I'm looking at things. That's math. It's not much math, but it's some math.
Partial fractions. Well, we'll talk about that more during Discussion Avenue. So, for those of you who don't know, currently is final season for us college students. End of the semester, final exams, they're happening. So this is a story revolving my first final exam of the season, right? The very first one, I come in, I'm ready to go. I have my headset, I have 5 pencils, my ruler, my ID, I've done my study, and I'm ready to go. This is for my CS class, it's in Java, right? So I come in like 5 minutes early, because I think, it's always good to show up early for your exams. 5 minutes early, I sit down, find my spot, I'm ready to go, okay? 5 minutes pass, the exam time hits, okay? Another 5 minutes pass. I'm like, sometimes the press is a bit late. It's fine. This kind of stuff happens, right? Printers malfunction, whatever, okay? 10 minutes pass. Girl next to me pulls out Pokemon Go, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that too. Get that out. What did I catch? I caught something. Caught an Apom. Yeah, I caught an Apom. It was pretty crap, but I caught one.
Class.
Yep, I caught one. I'm like, so at this point, it's been 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm legally allowed to leave because after 15 minutes, you're legally allowed to leave.
You are legally allowed to leave. We've confirmed that. Yes. We've done the research.
Yes, I was legally allowed to leave, right? So, and at this point, I'm like, okay, right after, so our exams are structured in 3-hour blocks, right? So I think mine was like, 1 or 2:30, right? And then 3 hours, that's the set block. And in the block immediately after the one I was in, I had my calculus exam, which is a pretty big deal, right?
Oh, I know what that is. Don't worry about it.
Alex's fridge just farted.
It sharded. I mean, did you hear that? That was pretty wet.
It was. Maybe you heard it in the recording. Probably not, though, because of cardioid patterns.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so where was I? Okay, so at this point, I'm like, you know what? She's probably not going to be here for a bit, professor. So I pull out my calculus, I start studying, right? Going over the practice test, looking over the problems, and I tell the dude next to me, I'm like, I have a calculus exam right after this, right? And so this is roughly 20-minute mark. Alex, you know about up to this, right? Just like 20 minutes. So another 10 minutes pass, half an hour, right? Still no professor. At this point, she's eaten through 1/6 of our exam time block, right? Finally, 45 minutes later, she arrives. Professor's here. I'm like, all right, time to go. Let's do this. She has 10 copies of the exam. It's a 100-person class. And those 10 copies, our class, there's like 2 sections, like an upper level section, there's like an honors section, basically, and a non-honors section. I'm in the non-honors because I couldn't be bothered. Like, I'm eligible for the honors, I just kind of couldn't be bothered to enroll for it.
It's literally just like, if it's anything like my 211, you just do like an extra problem on your homework.
Yeah, no, I just kind of didn't. It's also, I think, when I was registering, I had some issues with, like, it wasn't letting me enter for some reason. Even though I had qualifications.
Email them, but...
Yeah, well, the point is, I wasn't in it. The point is, I wasn't in the honors section. But they're all the honors section tests, right? In the tests, okay, half the pages are missing. 12-page test, 6 pages, right? Of those 6 pages, it was every other page. All the odd pages. So page 1, page 3, page 5, and then there's the page 7, page 9, page 11, then for some reason page 12 was just kind of part of it, right? And so professor just kind of starts giving them out, right? So like 10 people have their tests. They get started, okay? And we're just like, okay, what the everyone's about to riot, right? Because like, rightly so, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, people are about to riot, right? And so then finally, her assistant comes in. He has a few more tests. Not enough for the whole class, but a few more, right? And there's still
how many, like less than 10, more than 10?
I think maybe like 20, 30. enough to get just over half the class, right? He comes in. Keep in mind, they're all still misprinted. They're all still misprinted. Okay, right? So he gives them out. Now this is where the dude next to me comes in. That dude, goat, fantastic. Like that guy. So the assistant gives just a stack of tests to our row. Doesn't even count them, right? There was one short from hitting me, right? If there was one more test in that pile, I would have been able to start. Dude next to me just gives me his. He lets me start because he knew I had a calc exam. That dude, MVP, GOAT. If you're listening to this, thank you.
I feel like if this happens, the professor just should not be allowed to give you your exam.
That's what I was thinking.
You should just automatically get 100.
That's what I was thinking. But regardless, the dude, GOAT, passed me. I guess started, right? And the way this test was structured, since it was every other page, some of the problems kind of ran across pages. Like there was something where like, oh, look at this block of code. I'm like, okay.
How can you even grade that?
Wait, no, it gets better. Okay. So there's bits that just kind of like randomly truncate, run across pages. There's one bit where it's just kind of like at the top of the page, A, B, C, D. And I'm like, huh. Duly noted. Like there's one bit, I think it was on page 8.
It keeps vibrating my crotch. Oh, it's going to vibrate the desk.
Alex has a vibrating crotch.
I have a vibrator that's on my crotch.
Yeah, that's like saying he's lubed up, ready to go ahead and getting yourself going, right? And so on page 8, right, there's this guy where it just kind of says, consider the following code. And it just kind of ends. I'm just like, all right, just kind of write on the test, duly noted. It has been considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanye. Very cool.
I turned into a sassy motherfucker.
Oh, I would have too.
Especially because, like, I didn't know if, like, how long the rest of the test would be. Because, like, some of it, like, lots was the short answer stuff. I didn't know how long the short answer would take. So I was worried that, we've already lost almost a third of the exam time, and I can't afford to stay after, right? Like, our teacher said, if you want to, like, you're more than welcome to take your full 3 hours. You can stay after the allotted time. I didn't have that luxury because I had an exam 15 minutes after the end of this one. So I was crunching. Once again, the guy who gave me his test, GOAT, greatest of all time. Love that guy, right? But, so... finally, I think an hour and a half into this whole ordeal, I finished what I can, right? And also another thing is that on the tests, it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The next page 3, again, blank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because there were different sections, but the pages dividing the sections weren't there. So the numbering was just wrong.
Oh my god.
And on top of that, some of the numbering was just, like, wrong on the full test. I think there was, like, one copy of the full test that was somewhere in circulation, right? Someone got it.
This is just, like, laughably awful. Like, this is an absolute disaster in every sense of the word.
Oh, yeah.
And this isn't even, like, excusable as in, I'm just so bad with computers, I couldn't get the thing to collate right or whatever. This is a CS professor.
Yes, computer science. The science of computers, right?
What the actual... Okay. What was Gina's explanation? Or I'm sorry,
Gina.
What was Gina's explanation?
Right, yeah. I don't even know, because here's the thing, like, she just kind of said, just start, just go, and she was, like, really frantic and running around, right? Like, rightly so, I'd be panicking if I was her.
She deserves to be panicking.
Yeah.
Also, what was the preparation on this? I mean, it's just like your average high school kid that's like, oh, I have a project due next block. Let me start that with the printing. Like, why wasn't this printed 2 weeks in advance?
Yeah, it should have been printed at least the weekend before, or at least a day before, right? But so beside the point, right? Finally, her assistant shows up with this stack of loose papers. It's the even pages. He finally got the even pages. Of course, they're all loose. They're not stapled together. She's just like, I just kind of hop out of my seat as fast as I can, because at this point, I'd finished the odd part, like what I could of the exam, and I really had to pee. Like, real bad I had to pee. So I just
because you can't leave exams if you have to pee.
Yeah, so I scramble there, right? I think I was like second or third in line to get my other pages, right? I finally get them, okay? Now I have to figure out the order, right? Because, like, they were labeled, but I was like, okay, I have to find out which problems carry across which pages.
Now, these were just the even pages, but half the class still didn't have the exam.
No, okay. By that time, everyone had gotten an exam. At that point, everyone had gotten an exam, right? They came back, they had more exams. So everyone had at least started. For me, I think I was in the second wave of people that got their exams, but everyone had started, right? And so he brings in this huge stack of loose paper, right? We're sorting it out, and I get going, right? I start sticking things where they are, and, like, on top of it, some of the answer boxes, there were too many, so we had to like cross some out. And like I think there was one question where like an answer was wrong, like one of the answers was like had a typo, and so we had to go through and fix like that, right? And so I finally get it, and it's just some of the longest, most annoying kind of stuff. It's like this really specific algorithm that wanted us to use something we barely covered in class.
Sorting.
Not sorting. It was pulling arguments from a main method. Like, from your main that has, like, the string arguments parameter.
The arg string,
we never covered getting that, pulling from that. We never did. Like, I checked the slides, we never formally covered it. I think it might have been in a reading, but, like, normally the rule is if there's a reading, you should cover it in class, because not everyone does the reading.
I mean, it's pretty intuitive how it works, but, yeah, that's kind of BS.
It's one of the things where it's, like, just, like, we didn't cover it, and in the moment, I had to pee, and I was already kind of freaking out. Because, like,
I mean, rightly so.
My head was, I was also, like, there were a bunch of stuff we couldn't cover, right? And, like, I was, like, panicking bad, because, like, I really had to pee. Like, it was bad, because I just had
I'm just going to say this. If you haven't already sent an email to the CS department, that needs to be done.
I feel like it's already been done hundreds of times.
Do it again.
I might. Well,
add to the pile, and maybe then they'll realize what is going on.
Yeah, especially because
it's I think this isn't even I decided to print the test before the exam and it went horribly wrong. This sounds like I made the test right before the exam and didn't have time to print it.
Yes. I
mean, this is absolute garbage.
It was bad. And, like, to top it up, one of the, like, multiple choice questions, it just kind of had, like, with this input into arguments, it was just this random string of, like, there were different data types going into for those who don't know, Java is what's called a strongly typed language. And in programming, like, a variable, which is just like a thing, can be different types. It can be like a number or a word or whatever, right? And now, once again, I'm not sure how this works, but, like, the point is this one thing we had to do took an input that was of type string, which is like letters, except they put numbers into it, which I'm not.
Parsent.
Oh yeah, I figured I'd use parsent, like, that's what I used, but I wasn't sure if that was valid, because once again, we didn't cover it in class. Like, I would know this.
I feel like
it wasn't covered in class.
I feel like we've stooped to an even lower point than I just made the exam right before the exam, and then it didn't have time to print it. It was 10 minutes after the exam was supposed to start. I went on Google and found an exam and then printed it, and it was a disaster.
Also, to be fair, it was also, so it looked nothing like the practice exam too. She gave us a practice exam, one that, like, we're meant to study off of. Looked nothing like it.
With James. Okay. Or I'm sorry, with
Josh.
I don't know what I called him in the past. With Westinghouse.
I think it was James.
It was. It was with James Westinghouse. All of the practice exams look identical to the regular exams, and if he ever gives you the formula sheet, it is literally the cover page to the exam. Like, you will see that again.
Yeah, no, it's like that with
So that Joseph. Honestly, that probably is what I just said. It is. It's like you wake up 10 minutes after the exam was supposed to start, scour Google for an exam that's roughly CS, Java, something like that, print it out, that completely up, and then bring it to your students 45 minutes late and be like, yo, what's up, guys? I got 10 copies.
Yep. And the worst part was, we ended up doing the honor section test. There's a whole other test that was meant to be for the non-honor students that I never took. I didn't take it. I just took the honors one.
Instead of my eye twitching, my jaw is twitching.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's weird.
I can see it. You seem angry.
You can't make this.
Yeah. And also keep in mind, the reason I had to pee so much was because I had a large cold brew from Starbucks to get me going. Get a bit of caffeine in my body. I like my cold brew.
I mean, your caffeine probably wore out by the time you got started.
Probably. Well, actually, interesting fact. I always time my caffeine consumption specifically to kick in the moment I start the test, and then just kind of get me that initial burst. Because the way I do tests is that I don't just start. I parse the entire test, do the hard parts, and then come back for the easy parts, or sometimes vice versa.
I always do the easy parts, come back for the hard. That way I can get as many questions as possible answered.
Well, at the very least, I just like to parse it. Maybe sometimes do the lengthier ones at the beginning. Like, for example, I actually just came out of my ravioli exam for...
I mean, it depends. It's just ravioli. The ones that you actually have to think about, don't waste time on those until you have the time to waste.
So, no, for me, here's the thing. So, I would normally do that, but for ravioli exams, the majority of point weight is in the written section, and so I want to optimize for points. So like the written section probably requires the most thinking, but I just clock it out.
See, it's different. Like say it's a James exam, and I don't fully understand one problem. Like, because I don't fully understand it, I'm gonna go do everything else. That way, I can use the rest of my time to figure that problem.
Yeah, that's normally how I do my calc
and try to like write as many formulas that look right down. That way, I can get those partial credit points.
Although also for calculus, what I do is I just kind of do a brain dump. Like I see a problem, like this is an arc length problem. I'm just gonna put the formula there. So like that's 1 point. Normally they're 10.
Yeah, that's the way James does. Is if you write the right formula, you get a few points.
Yeah. So I always drop that.
I can't say James, but James.
Yeah. Just kind of like get a recording bit of you just saying James, and it cuts in
James.
Okay, we're using that. And so, like I was saying, right? So I finally managed to finish it, right? And keep in mind, once again, I really had to pee, and also our short answer.
You should have just pulled a Jeremy Clarkson. You should have left that room with your pants soggy.
See, but then like the dude next to me would have a lower opinion, and I'm not trying to like. That dude helped me out. I'm trying to have him sniffing pee while he's doing his exam. Like, that dude saved my ass.
That sounds like some sort of drug. You want to sniff some pee.
Just kind of a pee dealer and get sniffing.
Alrighty.
So, I finally managed to finish, right? I get down there, and I'm just like, I leave, and I'm like, the first thing I do is I text Alex, and I'm like, have I got a f***ing story for the podcast? Have I literally first, I pull up my phone, I just hit him up on WhatsApp. That was it. That's the story, Alex.
I saw that, and it sounded very ambiguous, and I was like, oh boy.
Did it live up to your expectations?
No, that went above and beyond.
Good to know.
I honestly couldn't even have fathomed that was even possible.
Yep.
That's just insane.
Yep. Honestly, though, because here's the thing also, I feel like there is a legitimate reason to have them consider the exam invalid. Because compared to the other sections, we had less time and took the wrong test. We took the wrong test. We did not take the test that was meant... Okay, a portion of the class did not take the test that was meant for them. They took a different test. So I do feel like I probably will send an email and just ask, like, how is this allowed? Because frankly, I don't think it should be.
No, it should not be.
Yeah.
Like if they okay that, I'm gonna add that to the list of reasons why I hate the school.
Yes. Although I will give
it is already way too large to be to be that large at the end of the freshman year.
Yep.
That's
although I will give
school.
I will give Gina one thing. She was fasting because holy month of Ramadan. You know what? Like I'll give her that. I will give her that.
Help her get those exams together.
No, it did not. No, it did not. They.
Don't assume all his pronouns, dude.
It doesn't like all. I feel like I would be like all pronouns.
I don't know. Usually in Christianity, people call God he.
Actually, like, because I always read like Arabic translations, and you all just call like Allah. You don't say he or he. You just say like God.
Well, that's what I said.
Fair.
I didn't assume all his pronouns.
Man, you're right. I'm probably on a cycle. That's a specific joke. That
is a very specific joke that, like, Sean, if you're listening, it happened.
Yep. Now that I've had that exam, I'm actually done with my exams now. I think it's time I slide on the used condom of chat and take it to the brothel of the bait, which is located on the corner of Discussion Avenue.
Yeet.
I think that's probably our words of Discussion Avenue bit. So, Alex, how was your week? Since I just talked about mine, why don't you go ahead and take the lead on this one?
Well, let's see. When did we last record?
I think it was Saturday. Just about a week ago.
I think it was Saturday.
I think Alex is raising his eyebrows a lot. Well, yeah, I think it was Saturday.
In that case, so I didn't really realize until then, like around that Saturday, that we actually had a full day of classes the following Monday. So that was fun. I always love surprise class days.
Surprise!
Thanks. So I went to class on Monday. I had a bit of what I thought was a disastrous final, but yeah, wow, that was like the smoothest final ever. compared to the story that I've just witnessed or heard or whatever. So that final, it's for ECE. So if you're out of the loop, it's electrical and computer engineering. It's the 101 class, introductory. All ECE majors have to take it. And, well, like, you're either electrical or computer engineering major, but they both are in the same department because they're similar. That's besides the point. I have a lab for that class, and we had to take a final for the lab, which is not common, but we did nonetheless. And in that lab, I'm setting up one of my circuits, and I'm just like so baffled at the fact that my oscilloscope is just kind of reading 50 millivolts when the amplitude of my function generator was turned all the way up. So I called one of the lab techs over, and he goes and gets me another function generator, and it did the same thing.
Was your oscilloscope broken?
And like this wasted so much time and like other stupid things. Like also the same lab tech in the lab told me that I needed to reverse the two components in my low pass filter, and I have this really stupid way of remembering which one's a low pass and which one's a high pass filter. Probably no one here is going to understand that, so I'm not going to bother, but like the lab tech was definitely wrong in hindsight. Like I looked over my notes for my actual lecture final, the lab tech was just wrong.
Oof.
But he still gave me a 95 on the final. Anyway,
hey, that's what matters. You got the grade. Also, do you want to explain what like an oscilloscope is to the...
So an oscilloscope is like
filter and...
oh god, yeah. So oscilloscope is basically a multimeter that for AC, and AC being alternating currents. Like the voltage goes up and down, positive, negative. It's like a sine
oscillates.
wave. It oscillates. Yes,
hence
it does.
The oscilloscope.
Yes, the oscilloscope. It's like shows you the sine wave of the voltage, and the function generator just generates an AC signal.
Okay.
And then the filter. So a filter is a circuit composed of a resistor and a capacitor, which when organized in a specific manner, reversing the position of either the resistor or the capacitor, then you can make either a high or low pass filter, meaning high or low frequencies will pass through the filter, and it will filter out the other ones. And there's like a certain formula that you can use to determine the cutoff frequency for the filter. It's 1 over 2 pi RC, where R is the resistance of the resistor you're using and C is the capacitance of the capacitor you're using.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
See, I thought oscilloscope was... See, that just sounds like one of those medical tools you put in your butt. Like an endoscope.
It is not an endoscope. It is...
But it's like, it just anything,
I'm
something
concerned
scope.
as what the oscillo would mean if you put it up your...
It just kind of like oscillates.
I mean, like...
No, it's like it goes up in there and it has like a spinning camera, and like it gets like a 360 look of your colon. There's a full 360 mapping of your colon.
That's what I want the next 360 cam to be. I want it to be a 360 endoscope. I just know what, but the Anyways, because my whole lab station was completely screwed, I was told to wait for somebody else to leave and then go use their lab station, and this person just would not leave. So I sat around forever, and eventually, finally, I could go over and take this lab station. And then because we usually are lab partners in there, we have like 2 people per lab station. We can't do that for exams because like using the same equipment, it's an exam, GC doodles. He divided the period up into 2 smaller periods where the people would take their, like half of the people would take their exam the first time, the other half the second time. You checked your email to see. So he said that I would have some extra time. And then, of course, I bled over into the second exam period. So these 2 guys from the second exam period just come and roll up at my lab station while I'm still working, sort of raid the chair, and they start bickering with each other about who usually sits there. And then they just really got in my way and made packing up really annoying. It's just like, it's kind of like the person that runs...
Hi, John, you want to say hi?
Hello, people.
Anyway, it's kind of like the person that runs into the elevator while people are trying to get out on the first floor. It was just really infuriating. Besides the point. After that, I went home, enjoyed me a nice long week of procrastinating studying while instead doing personal electrical projects.
Spending time with the Moonmen? Did you check in on them? They do.
Yeah, I checked in on the Moonmen. They're doing great.
Good to know whether they are happy you're back.
Yeah, they're very, very happy to see me.
Good to know. Give my regards. I'm sure all the listeners back home, sure they all care about the Moonmen. If you have any comments for the Moonmen, you can tweet us at Sleepdrunk.
Yeah, make sure to tweet us your messages to the Moonmen. I'll make sure to deliver them. Just be kind because, like we said earlier, they're sensitive.
Yeah, by going on.
And I made some cool things, but if you want to see what I made, you're gonna have to go check that out at sleepdrunk.net/blog.
We really are just plugging everything, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
While we're at it, www.sleepdrunk.net. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube.
And I had to come back up to this
region.
This region, this hole yesterday. Actually, on my way, though, we stopped in the place that it has happened in, which we can't disclose,
we can't.
Unfortunately. But this place is just pretty bold.
If it's happening, really no reason. It's happening in that place.
Yes, it is. And stopped at a very nice restaurant, met with Alavi, and then came back up here.
I had a Salisbury steak. It was wonderful.
Salisbury?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it's Salisbury.
No, it's not. It's Salisbury.
Salisbury?
So it's Salisbury.
Okay, look. I've always heard it pronounced Salisbury.
I have a friend whose last name, he just went by Salisbury.
Okay. A-S-A-L-S-I-S.
Nope. S-A-L-I-S-B-U-R-Y.
I'm gonna have something pronounce this. Okay, all recipes. We're now gonna know how you pronounce this.
So I want my glasses to be unique.
This is an ad. Why is the audio quality for this ad such?
This is 8 kilobit.
Pearl Vision, just get a better. Recipes in Motion. Great series. Never seen it.
All Recipes member Kelly Behringer shared this recipe for Salisbury steak.
Salisbury. Well, great to know. Eat my. The point is Salisbury.
Yep, that.
I had some ground up. Basically, just kind of had a burger patty.
A burger patty disguised as a steak.
Yes, still good. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty good. And then I had a signature pasta dish of this restaurant, which I also cannot disclose because it's a chain that I work at.
Yes,
but it's not a large chain.
It's a local chain.
Well, it's not even really a local chain. It's just a very small chain.
Semi-local. Okay, yeah, actually, they have that one location that's out there. Just okay, fine. A growing chain, we'll say.
Yes, it is a growing chain. Yes. Anyway, it's a nicer establishment.
Yes, it's basically McDonald's.
Yeah, upscale, like I said.
Yeah, upscale. You got the Big Mac. They have the Signature Crafted. Rest in peace, the Signature Crafted.
Rest in peace, the Signature Crafted. Anyway,
yes,
came back up here, went to bed early as hell, so I could get up early as hell at the crack of dawn, 6:15. Like, I know if you're in middle school, yeah, that's normal. Okay, that's because you're in middle school. Middle school sucks. Had my brutal physics exam. I'm pretty sure I got a 35 or higher. 35 is what I needed to pass with a C, and that's what I need to move on. So as long as I got that, I am A-okay. I can never ever gonna think about that class ever again. It's a horrible class. Never take it unless you absolutely have to. Never take it with Mr. James. That's not his name, but he's really just an awful person. And yeah, that's all that has happened this week for me.
All right, I think in my case, not that much happened. I think, Alex, you left on, what day was it, Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay, so after that, I started fasting, which is always nice. I was very hungry, and because of that, my productivity plummeted. Because, during the day, I can't focus well because I'm very hungry. Alex just dropped his bottle.
My sippy cup.
Yes, it's a sippy cup. There's little handles on the side. Okay, so just my productivity this week has been awful because I was fasting, and so during the day, I sleep until 2, which I know I shouldn't do. I shouldn't be getting up to pray, but y'all, if you're out there, you get it.
I'm sorry, bro. It's just hard times,
Okay, but so the point is, so during the day, I'm just super unproductive, and at night, it's I eat, and then I get really sleepy and lethargic, even though, like, I make sure I eat foods that, like, that mitigate that, it's still there. It's like, I try to keep things light, except this one time I had Taco Bell, but I did.
And that other time you had that restaurant, you had some Flagstaff.
I had some Desert Rock. But besides those 2 days, I normally, I'd have, maybe a bagel, some fruit, some olives, plenty of water, stay hydrated.
Hydrate or dehydrate, guys.
Literally, 3 days without water, you die. But, so it's just, my productivity this week was bad. And so on my exam days, I didn't fast on my exam days because that's something I don't fast on exam days. I'm sure God will forgive me for wanting to pass my classes. And if you do fast on exams, mad respect, that's great, but that's just not something I do. Just get that out of the way. And so, other than that, I've just kind of been chilling. I think, if you want to know what iftars I've had, what fast breaking meals I've had, I had a bagel, ramen, a gyro, Taco Bell, a bagel again. I got some slap it bagels from the Wags, so Wegmans for those who aren't hip with the lingo.
The non-woke.
If you aren't hip with the lingo, I got some slap it bagels.
Sucks, but their bagels don't.
Their bagels slap. They're so good. Got some slap it bagels. I love that term. Got some from the Wag. I had those. And that's basically what I've been having to break my fast, just bagels and cream cheese. I mean, it's good. It's lots of carbohydrates. That's brain food. Keeps you full. Lots of water. Lots of Gatorade.
Or like haterade.
Oof. So I went through the weekend, drove down to the location where if it's happening in the location. Everything. Like historic and natural scenery, waterfront activities, beautiful forest hikes, genocide, ethnic cleansing.
The Civil War.
The Civil War. Another Civil War. The formation of a new state. Jesus' battle with the Antichrist. What's happening in that location.
So, guys, we went to Jerusalem.
They don't do that. They do have historic and natural scenery, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
They have, desert.
Yeah.
Yep, we were in Jerusalem.
We were in Jerusalem.
We went to Jerusalem. Yes. So
Jerusalem, South Dakota.
Yep.
I hope that doesn't exist.
I'm looking it up right now. If it exists, one of you listening should go to Jerusalem, South Dakota. If you're
tell us what it's like. Let us know if it's as bullying as we're cracking it up to be.
There's Jerusalem Cemetery.
Not good enough.
It's something.
Yeah, but some states, I feel like I've seen a town called Jerusalem in some state.
Well, the point is, if you're within proximity of a Jerusalem in some state, do go and let us know what it's like, and if it's worth doing a sleep drunk in the field of Jerusalem.
Yeah. If ever I take another road trip out west, I'll make sure to go through South Dakota so I can stop in Jerusalem. Okay,
but so I got those my week. Nothing else happened. I didn't fast today for my exams. And Alex, I have a development for you. This isn't related to my week, but I thought this is more of a topic of discussion for Discussion Avenue, because this is a discussional segment. So if you guys remember, episode 10, we had Papa Baby Legs Ryan on, right? The one and only. And me and Ryan...
Papa Baby Legs.
Yes. Talked about some anime. I mentioned one that Alex said he would watch if someone held a gun to his head. Right, if someone held a gun to his head, he would say...
Oh, God, what did I say?
You said, it was the show, Why the Hell Are You Here, Sensei?
Oh,
right, that
one.
The one where, the student and the teacher get into some risque situations.
No, you can't go... Oh, God, that sounds awful. Why did I pick that?
Because it's short.
Yeah, but, I know, that's why I picked it, but without context, it just sounds like I'm in some
maybe he is, but the point is, Alex picked softcore porn. So... I've been keeping up with it, I thought I'd keep you updated. I thought I'd give you an update on the situation between the teacher
yes, please enlighten me
and
about
the student.
The show that I chose because a metaphorical gun was held to my head.
Well, I mean, okay, they don't... But the male student is in a bed with the teacher who is in a state of partial undress. Spoiler warning.
That's not...
They begin a relationship. The reason here's why, right? Because the student's mom knows the teacher, because growing up, she helped, mentor her, and she wants her to be her daughter-in-law. And so she's purposefully like arranging it. Like there's one point where she got the teacher drunk so that she would get in bed with the student. It is many levels of unethical.
There's so many things.
It's so much wrong with it. It's a garbage show. No, but there's more to it, okay?
My sippy
Also,
cup.
they started a subplot about his friend and a different teacher. Because here's the thing, this teacher wants to get down. You know, she will do anything that she wants him to because it's a game of give and take to make it through. Because if she gets down on him, he'll get down on her tonight. But she wants to get with him and he doesn't. The student ain't having it. He's trying to get friends because he's a really tall, imposing guy. And people are scared of him. But like he's a sweetheart. He's a gentle giant. But people are scared of him. But this teacher's like, you know what? I'm sure you're not that bad. She spent some time with him. He sees her in a state of undress due to hijinks because she fell in a fountain. Long story. She wants it, he doesn't.
Oh no, I just fell in a fountain and lost all my
okay, no,
clothes.
here's the thing. So normally, right, the main character and his friend, the tall dude, they eat by the school fountain. That's where they have lunch. They sit down, they get out their bento boxes, they have their lunch.
School has a fountain looking.
It's not really a fountain sport, just kind of like I think it's like meant to be a koi pond or something. It's Japan, whatever, right? The point is...
Probably koi pond.
Yeah, it's some kind of water feature. I haven't seen the latest episode, right? They sit down and have a thing, but now, like, the teacher's like, yo, the main character's like, yo, I'm gonna go hang out with this teacher I may or may not be boning, right? Because, like, you know, that's what you do. If you're in a relationship, you have a meal with your significant other. He picks lunch. Leaves his best friend out to dry. Like an asshat, right? So...
Yeah, dude, bros before hoes. Like, this is just not ethical.
But so now he's sitting alone. This teacher's like, hey...
he just picked the wrong one, dude.
And so she's like, oh, hey, now's my chance. His wingman's gone. So she moves in. She's like, hey, hello, I want to let's sit together and have lunch in a regular conjugal teacher-student manner. And then they sit down, and she's like, no. And she's like, oh, hey, your lunch looks good. Can I try some? And he's like, oh, yeah, can I try some of yours? And so like they go to trade. And then she, like, gets flustered and, like, slips backwards and falls into the water thing. Because she's all like...
And then her clothes just come off?
Well, no, because, like... So, no, and then her foot gets stuck in a rock. So the student's like, okay, here, I'll help you up.
And he pulls her shirt off.
Yes.
How do you accidentally pull someone's shirt off?
Anime.
Just, I got your hand. Oh.
No, she was holding...
Whoops.
No, he was holding her from under, like, the legs. To help really, because her foot was stuck. It was pretty wedged. And the point
what kind of rock?
I don't know. It was fucking like Thanos.
See, these are the things that go. I can't do anime. These are the things that go through my head. Okay, I'm a realist. There's no changing that.
I mean, to be fair, she's a pretty small person. That's a pretty big. It's like
how did the rock move then?
No, like there was rocks under. I think she kicked them out, and like her foot went where like the other rocks would be.
I'm calling bull.
It is. No, it's absolute bull. Absolute, because the whole point was they wanted to get her undressed. And that's what they did. But yeah, that's a little update for you. Just wanted to let you know about your favorite show, keep you up to date.
Why, thank you, Alavi. I was really needing their update on my show.
So moving on.
Last topic of discussion, we decided. Sorry for the audio quality in this. Like, I just want to.
He doesn't have the microphone with him.
I don't. Well, that, and then I've just been really screwing things up here. I've been caulking it up a lot. But anyway, Alavi said that we should talk about some of our favorite classes this semester and our feelings towards them, our recommendations.
Yes.
And yeah,
good to see you read the show notes I made while I was on the toilet.
You didn't. I just guessed what you said.
Damn, that's exactly what I wrote. That's literally exactly what I wrote in the show notes.
I have not even opened the document. As per usual, I literally
put a lot of effort into the show notes, except when I don't. But like,
as i.e. this time. No, I'm sure you do. You really. I appreciate that because I can't be bothered. All I do is editing most of the time.
Yes.
All I do. So should I begin?
Yeah, go ahead. You start.
So, my favorite class this semester is quite easily physics. No. God, I hate that class. It's quite easily ECE. Like, it's already something that I'm interested in. I've just always had a lifelong passion for, but it's really the only class that was even remotely acceptable this semester. Because, I shouldn't say that. The only one that's like remotely a candidate for favorite class, because the other ones I have to choose from are visual culture. That's just visual culture. What am I saying? The only other ones I had to choose from are visual culture. You can just tell from the name that it's a bullet. I had to take this because college class. And then calculus 2, and then physics 1, which is just way overcomplicated by the professor. So what am I left with? ECE. Well, it actually was a pretty good class. I want to recommend the professor that I had very much so. He's a great professor. He's a very organized guy. He's just a good guy, personable. You can hear what he says.
Mr. Chris Lorax.
He's a good mumble. Yeah, Mr. Chris Lorax.
He speaks for the trees.
If you happen to be at our university and are an ECE major and happen to know who Chris Lorax could be, take him for ECE 101, or I think he teaches some of the 400 level ones. He's a good professor.
And he speaks for the trees.
Because, Lorax. The class is basically just an introductory electrical class. That makes it sound like electricians, and that's no. But, like, you just learn things like Ohm's law, how to do voltage division, equivalent resistance, solving DC circuits, solving AC circuits, making circuits. You learn what different components there are, what they do. You learn some digital logic. And honestly, this was really the only class that I needed to put together my still probably minimal, actually I wouldn't call it minimal, just lacking electrical knowledge that I've already been able to do a few pretty exciting projects with Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and microcontrollers and things. So,
and for the audience, could you just give a quick explanation of some of the projects or tests or whatnot you might have?
So we actually didn't have any projects in there, which is surprising because engineering classes you usually always do.
Yeah, they're only quite project heavy.
But we did have homework every week. The homework, I guess, is just sort of going over it doesn't come to think of it, doesn't differentiate it from a regular class really at all. It's just homework goes over the material and the tests just recap over it. But okay, we had, as much as I hate eye clickers, it fit in with the lecture while he used them. Okay. And the eye clickers, he would just give an exercise solve this circuit and find the equivalent resistance for this whole complicated thing where there's parallel and series things going on, and a whole lot of SHID, and then some FUG and some BISH.
Good to know. Good stuff. Good stuff.
And you put the pieces all together, and what do you get?
You get a big steamy circuit.
Big steamy load of current.
Resistance.
Of current that's being resisted through the tube, the wire that it's going through,
Yes, now it's time we run the current of chat. Maybe one day. So is that everything? So is that your quick overview of ECE?
Yeah, and to some people that probably sounds awful, but to me that's just what I'm interested in. And it's what I'll be doing for a living. It's the things that I've always dreamed about being able to to have in my head to do personal projects like I'm starting to do. And it's just, for me, it was an awesome class.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I think hope to do, because you never know. You might get struck by lightning. You might become a male stripper. You might find your passion there.
There's some people that have been struck by lightning almost 10 times and they're still doing fine. So.
Fair. So
also, I would hope that
goes to plan,
that wouldn't convert me into a male stripper automatically. It's just
just maybe you find the passion.
I'm walking to work, I got my business casual attire on. I'm holding my briefcase. Struck by lightning. All of a sudden, I rip my clothes off. I'm wearing a male thong. There's terrible EDM playing. A stripper pole rises out of the ground next to me, and I just go to work.
So no, the stripper pole is like a lightning rod. It pulled the lightning out of the sky and turned you into Lightning Alex, the super-powered male stripper. And you save the world by stripping in front of people and make them incredibly uncomfortable. Like someone's robbing a bank, lightning strikes, you're there with your pole, you do some dancing, they're like, that's really weird, it makes me uncomfortable. I mean, if you're into male strippers, that's you, all the power to you. You are allowed to be into whatever you want. That's your choice. But these bank robbers aren't into that. That's not where they're comfortable. And they're like, I'm not comfortable in this space. I'm going to leave this space and stop robbing this bank.
This is what I deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, daily.
Daily.
I mean, soon I will be not here. I will be on the other side of the planet.
No, but then you're going to send texts where it's not only you, but the rest of Bean Guys booling just as much.
Bean Guys is one of my group chats. But yeah, so Alex, EC, that's that.
Yep.
See, now moving on to my favorite class, I've taken I think 6 classes this semester, which is a lot for the average college student. I took visual culture, which I actually really like the concept of. It's a class that fits me, but was horribly executed. It was executed very badly. And because of that, I did not enjoy the class. I had macroeconomics with theme 1, the only big dong ravioli, right? Fine class, I enjoyed it. Calc 2, the one, the only, the hot Joseph Hart. Another fine class, but
apparently it's very enlightening to you.
I'll talk about that a bit, right?
So we know it. That's it.
So I also had I was gonna mention the blog, but I also had my 2 CS classes. One with Josh Thicky Olive. I don't know what fake name I gave him. Thicky. That class. I hate that class.
This is Jonathan.
This is Jonathan? Okay, whatever. But Thicky, right? The reason I hate that class is just because it doesn't have any core direction or core philosophy. There's no track it takes. It's just kind of he's like, hey, what do you guys want to talk about today? Let's talk about AI, What's AI? Is Skynet gonna happen? What's an AI, guys? What's an AI? He has a bunch of, uninitiated CS students. Because, for context, this class is normally given in the first semester, so all of the CS majors, I mean, I don't want to sound like a dick, but all the smart CS majors take it first because, they can. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's just true. All the people that really care about, the topic take it first semester most of the time.
So what you're saying is you're left with all the dirges that are still freshmen but got there a little late.
Yeah, or something like that. And it's just kind of so the reason I took it was because I'm a double major, and so it didn't fit in my schedule. I would have taken it on time, it just didn't fit in my schedule, right? And so I just, for example, right, our professor was asking us what separates human intelligence from artificial intelligence and what can get us to where they're the same thing, right? And this dude just kind of quantum computing, because having a fourth thing makes it human. It's like having this fourth variable. He's trying to make it sound smart. I'm like, that's not even... He doesn't understand the fundamental how AI works.
You know what? I think we should just remove most of our chromosomes, and I think that we should just have it 4, because as long as there's 4,
you have that extra variable that makes it human.
And they're we're a step up above the computer.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, regular computers work on binary, which is 1 or 2, or 0 or 1, true or false. Quantum computers work on a base of 4. So it's
However, there is a new theory coming about with regular old, plain old computers, called ternary. So you can have a -1 as well as a 0 and a 1 where the current's flowing backwards. Think about that for a minute.
Interesting.
It's just exceedingly difficult to do mathematical problems with for humans, but it could probably be useful.
Well, the point is...
We'll see if anything ever comes.
But it doesn't have that fourth variable.
Yeah,
so
there's only 3.
It's not
it doesn't have that fourth variable.
But it's stuff like that. And it's also things for example, the whole self-driving car ethical thing, the trolley problem. Oh, it's the trolley problem. I know what the trolley problem is to you. We're going to talk about the fucking trolley problem.
This is an oof.
Anyone who is interested...
Kinda Chinese finger trap my fingers with my water bottle.
I saw that. But, anyone who's interested in computer science probably knows about the whole self-driving car, should it swerve and kill the passenger, kill the person? Everyone should have an understanding of that, I feel. If you want to go into CS, especially into, the world of AI, right? Because you know what the trolley problem where, you're on a track, and, there's, one dude on... there's 5 dudes on one line of the track, and one dude on the other side of the track, and,
who do you hit?
Yeah, exactly. It's that problem, which I feel is talked about in most CS classes.
I've definitely already talked about that.
And it's something that's just talked about in general, because it's a problem that we're facing as a society, right?
Ethics are stupid. I think we should just all forget about what ethics are and just kind of live.
I think Michael would have something to say about that. It's Thomas Hobbes! Thomas Hobbes! But so... and so it's stuff like that I feel is it really worth dedicating 2 classes to that? when there's no answer to that. There's no right answer. There isn't. Because it depends on your frame of mind. And, like, while that discussion is nice, there's more productive things we could be learning.
Well, I think what we could do here is obviously replace the 5 people that are there with 5 anti-vaxxing Karens.
Yes.
And then we know which track to use.
Or just kind of like...
The other guy.
Just like... yeah, because they're going to die anyway.
Exactly. So then you can take out more people.
Exactly. That's a nihilistic view. But, yeah, and so I just like that class. Then there's my CS Java class, which I didn't hate. It's just that I hate debugging. I don't like doing that, and so it's like that class is just kind of neutral for me. That is a neutral class. And so my favorite class this semester was, as Alex guessed, actually, no, I had one more class. I had jazz, which was fantastic. It was just jazz, but I'm not going to count that as a core class because it was a 1-credit class I took for fun. So I'm not going to count it, even though it was wonderful. But as Alex guessed, which was really odd for me, my most enjoyable class this semester was Calculus 2, which I think is weird because that class is hard, and I didn't do, like, I did okay. I did above average. I wasn't, like, a straight A knocked out of the park student. Because Calculus 2 was really hard. It's hard. It is very difficult.
Apparently I was.
I mean, towards the end.
Well, I mean, the first exam, it'll be replaced. So there's still a chance that I could pass Calc 2 with 101.
Damn. Gonna flex on me like that?
Yeah, well, okay. To anti-flex on you, I don't understand how I didn't fail Calc 1, but yeah.
So it's like, if you read the post on Sleepdrunk blog, www.net,
www.net.
Just www.sleepdrunk.net/blog. You can read it. It's called Math. I think it's quite well written, if I do say so myself. I think I did a good job writing it.
I saw some grammatical errors.
Did you actually?
Yes.
Oh, damn. Alright, I'll go back and fix those. But the point is, I found the class very intellectually stimulating. And genitally stimulating, but mostly intellectually stimulating.
No, yes. I think that was probably just Joseph.
Joseph Hart's hot. But also...
Allegedly.
Yeah, he's hot. You've seen him. I sent you a picture. I sent you a snap.
I sent you nudes.
No, the point is, he's hot. But I just feel like it was a very intellectually stimulating class, and something just kind of clicked with me. I think first off, it was very well taught. Like, aside from being smoke show, right? Joseph Hart is a great teacher. He's a great professor. He cares about his students, and he actually really cares about the math. He likes mathematics as a subject, and it's something he's very interested in. And that shows. Like, he enjoys explaining all these really cool, weird things about math. Like, for example, if you take...
Oh, that's weird.
If you take the leading coefficient of a parabola...
That's a person.
Okay, I just lifted a towel, and we're getting back to Sleep Drunk. Well, so like I was saying, I think a good example of why I found this class so interesting and so intellectually stimulating was it came from the last day of class, right? We're talking about conic sections, which is how the ancient Greeks defined a set of common curves, like parabolas, circles, ellipses, things that you probably know if you've taken basic algebra.
What about hyperbolas?
If you've taken basic algebra, you know it, right? And yes, hyperbolas too, which are just kind of like sicko mode parabolas. They are. Hyperbolas are sicko mode parabolas.
They're just sicko mode parabolas. Don't at me.
Yeah, they're just sicko mode parabolas. But it's how you define. It's just a way that the ancient Greeks, before they had Cartesian basically XY coordinates, that was how they defined these various curves. And he was talking about how the way parabolas work, right, is that for those of you who don't remember high school algebra, it is a function in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, right? A, B, and C just being constants, right? And he has a demonstration.
Just taking a tinkle.
It's done. So we were talking about how, in the context of a parabola, of the a value, the value in front of the x squared of a parabola, in the context of a parabola, the number line becomes a number circle with poles at infinity and 0, right? Now, this sounds really weird and crazy, right? And it's it has no real application, but what happens is that a parabola, as a increases, it gets narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower, and then when a is equal to infinity, it collapses into a line. It becomes a degenerate parabola. Because it's a fucking degenerate, but... so
I was going to make a joke about that.
It becomes a line, right? And after that, and so we're just chilling out, and Joseph saw like, hey, what would happen if you go past infinity? Everyone's like, you can't go past infinity. He's like, but if you do, it opens back up at the bottom, right? At negative infinity. It wraps around and then starts growing again and growing and growing and growing until the coefficient becomes 0 and it becomes a horizontal line. And then it starts going back up and starts folding back. So it's the circle where it just keeps looping and collapsing.
The circle of life.
Parabolas. And like, this is the kind of thing where...
No, that's what we gotta do. We gotta edit it. Parabolas over every time they say life.
But so, it's the circle of parabolas. And this is the kind of thing where it has no real application, but I just find this kind of stuff...
Think about it. That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, I kind of find this stuff really interesting. Or also how, like, for example, you can define any number as a sum of infinite numbers. This is crazy. Take an infinite number of numbers and make it one number. And I just think stuff like that is cool. I think the way it was taught was really cool. And that just made it a really enjoyable class. It was hard. It ate my ass sometimes. Like sequences and series, trigonometric substitution, differential equations, that was painful. But I enjoyed it. It was raw, it was fast, and it was hard, and I loved it.
And if you'd like to read more, remember that you can head on over to sleepdrunk.net/blog. Click on the post called Math under the op-ed, and you'll read all about it.
Read all about it, sleepdrunk.net/blog. You can point out my grammatical errors.
So thank you for listening to this episode of Sleep Drunk. Remember that the first person to guess the song of the day on any of our social media or via email will get a shout out in the next episode. The song of the day for episode 12 was...
Feel So Good by Chuck Mangione. Fantastic song. I love it. It was really popular in the 70s. Great song.
Right. Oh, yeah, and please make sure to share the show with your friends and family, whoever would enjoy. That way we can... Yeah, boss, anybody.
Prostitute.
Yeah, make sure to definitely tell your prostitute. That way you can just really grow.
That one uncle you haven't talked with in like 5 years, you're not really sure what he's up to, but you always got a weird vibe off him, tell him.
Yeah, just send him a Facebook message. That way you don't have to get too close.
That one uncle who sends you way too many messages on Facebook for like conspiracy theories, like chemtrails, let him know. He might like it.
I think we could have a good debate with him.
Yeah, we could. And I think that being said, you can let them know that the Sleep Drunk podcast can be found on any of your favorite podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. We'll catch you next week.
Welcome to Sleep Drunk. We've been smoking for way too long.